Hey, welcome to another week of Beyond Parody. Very excited to be here. There is a ton of news to get to today. I am Robin Garfield, writer over at the Babylon Bee and your co-host, joined by a phenomenal panel of wonderful people. Today, we have Dan, who's the CEO and co-founder of Not the Bee. Dan, say hi.
Hello.
Or give us peace sign. We have, okay, you guys, we're going to... Everybody just understand today's going to be a little confusing. So we have Joel Abbott, who is the editor-in-chief of Not the Bee.
Bon chia.
Bon chia. We also have with us Joel Berry, who is the managing editor of the Babylon Bee. Joel, thanks for coming on.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
So we have two Joels. And we also, of course, as always, have Mr. B, our tech guru, who will keep the show running in the event of a power outage. I'd be impressed with that, actually.
Do that? I don't think he has the power to do that.
Feel free to call me Joel this week.
I will. We have Joel.
Joel A, Joel B, and Joel C.
Sounds like the old Monty Python sketch with the Bruces. Bruce. We got Joel. All right. There's a lot happening. It feels like the Trump, at the beginning of the year, there was so much news happening. We couldn't keep up with these giant stories. It was tariffs. It was this, it was that. And now we're in this kind of phase of smaller stories that seem to keep having these ripple effects of out and out and out. And the one I want to talk about really quick off the top is Alcatraz. So I lived in the Bay Area for 5 years. I've been to Alcatraz many times. I love visiting it. I think we all know the clip from So I Married an Axe Murder with Phil Hartman as the Alcatraz tour guide, which is probably the best representation of the tour. Trump says he wants to take it back and reopen it as a prison. And I just want to open this up really quick. Are we for it? Are we against it? And who wants to be the first guard out there?
Oh, so for it.
So for it.
I
just think symbolically it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm generally of the opinion that a lot more people need to be in prison, and to make America great again, we need to make prisons great again. So Alcatraz is a great start.
There was a reason they shut it down in the beginning, and we'd have to figure that out. It was a ginormous, I'm talking like my kids, a gigantic financial boondoggle. It was unsustainable to keep it operable because of the cost of shipping everything out there on boats. So they would have to figure that out. I am not for opening it up as a prison. I want to keep it as a national park and continue being able to visit.
Could we have it as a prison and then still take tours and like see
that's the ultimate
all the inmates?
Yeah, charge admission too. That would be great.
Fill it full of Maryland dads, and then we can go and look at them and chat. And
Clint Eastwood could be the first guard.
So Alcatraz obviously would be federally funded, but I don't know that California is able to support any subsidies for it anymore. I think that they're going bankrupt themselves. So I'm not sure how it's going to work out financially, but I'm definitely all for it. There's nothing more awesome than having a prison like that you can see from like a normal city, and you can always look out there and see it. I think it's pretty cool. And you should charge for for admission. I would love that.
Yeah.
Front row seats, the most demented minds.
I don't know. It's an interesting idea. I'm not 100% convinced it's the right idea, but
I mean, honestly, it's not like, why is it a priority? I guess is one thing. Like, where did that come from? It's so funny because Trump.
Where did that come from?
When he got elected, it's like, all of a sudden, Gulf of America became a thing, right? Before the election, right? Like naming it. What did it happen before the election or after he got elected?
I think it was right after.
It was right after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's these little things. It's like you wonder what conversations he's having and with who. Is it with Elon or whoever he's with at Mar-a-Lago? That kind of plants the seed. It's like, oh, we should reopen Alcatraz, and it's just like, okay. And now that's his thing this week is reopening Alcatraz. I think.
Can we have the Babylon Bee Christmas party there?
That would be awesome. Well, it would probably be so much more practical to just have a giant steel building in the middle of a cornfield somewhere. But Trump just has this. He has this gift for like the theatrical and for TV and for story and now
there's nothing more theatrical than Alcatraz.
There's so much myth around Alcatraz, and he kind of has that flair that it wouldn't be a news story if he was just proposing building a new prison in Utah or wherever.
Hey, out in the middle of Dugway. Yeah. In the testing grounds. I think it's interesting. I don't know. And speaking of people incarcerated, currently. There's a group of cardinals currently housed up that can't leave. We've got the conclave happening right now. It's really historic. The last one was in 2012. It's been interesting to talk to my kids about it. It's not something they're going to see a bunch in their lifetime. And the story of the week, I think, and I'd love to hear some of the guys who've worked on this story a little more pipe up, but that the Cardinals reportedly maybe have watched the movie Conclave to prep to do a conclave. Is that verified? I read the article, but it just was
I'm sure it's based on an anonymous source.
I would just say it is a political report. So take that as you will. I'm not going to say anything. If you have followed Not the Bee and you followed some of our coverage of Politico or the Babylon Bee, you know that some of the things that they report on, as Trump likes to say, fake news.
Right.
No.
Did we all see Conclave? Who here has seen it? I saw it.
No.
You might be the only one.
I don't know.
Joel,
why
did you see it?
that.
Joel B?
I
read that I heard it described as a movie that dumb people think is smart.
Oh yeah. I actually thought it was really good, minus the ending.
No.
I know. No, it's okay. It's okay. I'll take it right on the chin. I thought it was really well done. I thought Ralph Fiennes was magnificent. His performance,
Ralph Fiennes is amazing.
I
He's
thought
good
the
in everything.
performances were really good up until the end, and then it just turned into nonsense. It was just, and nobody saw it coming. But as a piece of film and a piece of cinema, I thought it was very well done. The acting was good.
Did they choose the first transgender pope or something?
He's a I guess the traditional term used to be hermaphraid.
Is it really what ends up happening?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my! We probably should have said spoiler alert.
No. I told you, it falls apart at the end. It falls apart. But he has like a biological issue. It's not like he identifies as a woman or a man.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was born with like female reproductive parts, but then later, and when he hit puberty, he had some problems, and so he switched to male. It's not like he was trans or something. They're kind of playing with the biological aspect of it, but it was still ridiculous, and there was no reason for it. But learning about how a conclave works and learning about the votes and the drama and the politics of it all was, as a non-Catholic, I found it very informative. Now, I'm probably very dumb.
That's like learning about American history from what's the Nick Cage movie?
The 1619 Project.
No. What's the National Treasure? National Treasure. Yeah. I learned a lot
because National Treasure loves American history. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
It's sensational and it's not, but it loves it. It absolutely loves it.
Okay. Then learning about Catholicism from the Da Vinci Code. How about that?
Yeah.
It's
kind of a similar.
Think the conclave stuff was real. Like, I think the way they did it was very well researched, and I think that they represented a conclave, from what I've read, pretty accurately.
I mean, it's just a bunch of guys in a room voting.
It's just that the intent of the film was to shame the Catholic Church and to try to force a different thinking about gender, sexuality, male leadership, all these biblical things.
Right.
And that was the point of the film. So that's the irony, is if this is true, again, if it's a political report, if it's true, it's like, what are we doing? These are these are the people choosing the next pope. Does this explain how we got the last pope? Like, these are the type of people that are.
Joel, oh man, which one of you do I want to be? I'm looking at you. If I go cross-eyed, you become one. You morph together, and you're in 3D. You're in 3D.
How are you guys in the same room? I love that.
It's really funny for those who are not watching this on YouTube. They are literally wearing the same hat. It was not planned at all. It's Joel A. It's Joel B. They're wearing the same hat. It looks like you guys are in the same room, same background. But
are you brothers?
I was going to ask Joel Barry something real quick, because he hasn't been on here, and we've been talking about movies a lot lately. Joel Barry, is there a movie that you've seen recently that you've liked? Do you think that there are any good movies? Is there any good cinema? Did you see the Minecraft movie? I mean, what do you think about cinema these days? Have you seen anything worthwhile?
It's such slop. The movie I saw most recently, this is a couple weeks ago, so I was kind of behind, but I watched Nosferatu.
Oh, the new one?
I think the new one with Robert Eggers. I think he's probably one of the few genuinely interesting filmmakers still out there. I do love his genuine attempt to portray history honestly. no woke stuff. It was well directed, beautiful cinematography. The only problem I have with Robert Eggers and Nosferatu as well is he stops being honest when it comes to Christianity. I think he downplays what should have been. There should have been a lot more Christianity in the film that would have been accurate to the time. And he's really good at portraying evil, but he doesn't know how to portray good. So, as is I think the problem with a lot of kind of godless filmmakers out there, they know they can nail evil to a T, but just understanding what goodness is, heroism is, they don't understand it. So it left the film lacking for me, even though it was a pretty beautiful film to look at.
That's an interesting transition because actually, sorry to kind of take over here for a second, Robin.
No.
Robin's leading. She's the lead host this week, but I've taken over a little bit. But that's actually a really good transition because
like mansplain.
It's the exact same thing that we see, and I can share this on screen. The picture. Let me get it up right now. But there was a statue that was erected this week in Times Square, which was meant to kind of, I guess, show your average person. But what it ends up doing, let me just, for those who are watching, I'll show the statue so you guys can decide for yourselves what you think about it. So
Medea.
You're talking about people, these atheistic directors and stuff like that. They don't know how to display goodness or whatever, and it's like our culture has lost the ability to really look towards godliness and goodness at all. And so you get these statues. I don't want to go too far. This statue was erected in Times Square, and it was obviously meant to elicit a reaction, and they're trying to get racist reactions out of it. I think that was their purpose, right?
Of course.
But like this idea, this is so such a visual representation for those who aren't seeing this. It's a statue. It's like 12 feet tall. It's a black woman, obviously, and she's wearing like jeans and a t-shirt, and it's a statue. It's like you're used to seeing statues be glorification of things that are worth glorification. Like people winning battles. People, she's obese. She's in a posture which suggests that she's not moving forward. She's digging in her heels. She looks entitled. She looks angry. She looks frumpy. Her shirt doesn't fit right.
She's not wearing a bra.
Right. She's not wearing a bra. It's like it's like this. It's a statue glorifying mediocrity. 100%. Yeah. And again, I'm not approaching this. They want us to approach this from a racist angle where you're saying, well, you're saying that because she's black, and it's not. This woman in the post that I made on Not the Bee's Twitter account basically says the same thing. My critique of the statue has nothing to do with race. This is the post I made. I said, make the subject white, black, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. A woman with a body like this in a frumpy t-shirt standing in a position of entitlement and laziness is a glorification of mediocrity in every single way. And that's what they're portraying here. They're trying to say everybody needs to be glorified in their own way, even the quote unquote normal people. But in reality, I mean, it's purposeful the way this person is posed. And also when, people want to say, oh, it's racist to say that because she's black. But the reality is, like, the person who made this statue was trying to glorify mediocrity, and in that pursuit decided to make the statue of a black woman. And that was their idea of mediocrity, not mine. Like, that's what they decided to do in order to display this publicly. So I would say the internal racism is of the person who decided to do that.
Yeah. And this statue, there's a series of them, apparently. I don't know if they're all the same artist, but they popped up all over the world. They're temporary statues. So I think this one is going to be up until mid-June.
I was going to say, do you think it's purposeful that there's a white man glaring at her on the billboard in the background?
It's like side-eyeing her. Look at that.
I do think it's interesting. I want to point out, I believe it's in Florence, Italy, not far from where Robin is today. There is a statue of a black woman, very similar, looking at her phone. It's like 12, 13 feet tall. And there's a few more of these that have popped up in Europe and in America. And I do really think that it's interesting when you talk about this idea of mediocrity, how it connects in with some of the traditional Marxist word salad they use. Marxism. It's very, they say on the official Times Square website, talking about the Price is the last name of the artist here who made this. They talk about how this statue foregrounds the intrinsic value of the individual and amplifying traditionally marginalized bodies on a monumental scale. They say that it confronts preconceived notions of identity and representation. And if you know anything about intersectionalism, woke Marxism, neo-Marxism, racial Marxism, this is the perfect representation of a hero for them. But I think, Dan, you nailed it on the head when you connected that with mediocrity. What does communism always promote in the end? Mediocrity is definitely up there as one of those things.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, but we're talking about it. They got us talking about it.
They got us to talk about it.
I wanted to talk about it because I knew I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to get us to talk about it in a very specific way.
Yeah.
And I recognize that. And that's why I think it's noteworthy to talk about it in a slightly different way. It's actually revealing of them. It's revealing of them that the way that they would choose this as the representation of mediocrity, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Speaking of kind of the spectacle of mediocrity and the spectacle of the spectacle.
Speaking of mediocrity, Joel Berry is with us this week.
I did not say that.
I'm a mediocre satire writer.
Sorry, Rabbit.
No, that's great. Thanks, Dan. We had the Met Gala this week. And I want to look over some of the looks and get everybody's reaction. I'm sure this is a group of people who absolutely love the Met Gala, the gala. Before we go into the Met Gala, though, everybody stay tuned. I would like to mention that we have our wonderful sponsor sponsoring the show this week. If you have not tried Grassi, Graasi, you need to go to Grassi.com and try it out. It's the refreshment you didn't know you needed. Boost your immunity naturally with Grassi, organic barley water loaded with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Grassi is the original wellness drink and MMA sponsor, equipped to help detoxify your body and keep your digestion on point. Try Grassi today and start feeling good naturally. For a 20% off discount, which is huge, so definitely go try this out. Use code NTB20 at Grassi.com. That's GRAASI.com/discount/NTB20. Head on over there. Try it out. We all need a little boost. Summer's coming. Try out Grassi, Grassi.com. Thank you, Grassi, so much for sponsoring this episode. Let's talk about the Met Gala. Dan, pull up some of these looks. Now, for our listeners who might not know the context of this, the Met Gala happens every single May. It is a fundraiser, essentially a charity event to support the New York Metropolitan Museum of Art's costume department. So it's happened every year since. I should have had, the dates on me, but it's been going for 20, 30 years. Anna Wintour is the fashion guru in New York, and she is the one who hosts it every year, and she picks a theme. Every year there's a theme. This year's theme, and we should have it up here, but it was essentially...
there's a theme?
There's a theme every year, and it's very esoteric. Joel?
The theme this year was super fine, tailoring Black style and putting the spotlight on fashion designers of color.
Yep. So
I never predicted that.
And a couple, my favorite, and I love the Met Gala. I love it. I actually, for a few years, used to dress up. Like, I would get all dressed up, and my sister and I would watch the looks coming down the carpet. I think it's fun. It's spectacle. It's crazy. It's a real cultural splash. It's a little like Hunger Games meets the Oscars. It's just fantastic. But this year's was a little odd to me, and I get what she was trying to do. It was really hard for white people to dress up in Black fashion because that's cultural appropriation. And all the Black fashion looked a little bit like pimps. So let's go through some of these looks.
That was one of my favorite things about this. I felt for the white attendees of this event because it's kind of a trap. Like if you lean into the theme too much, you're gonna. And actually, who was it? Sydney Sweeney was really skirting the line there. She put some really heavy bronzer on her face. I didn't include it in the story, but she was almost wearing blackface in her.
Yeah, I was going to ask if anyone wore blackface.
So as we scroll through this, honestly, these days, it's like I don't even necessarily recognize a lot of these quote unquote celebrities, but Brianna Stewart, I guess, is a basketball player.
No, I have no idea who anybody is.
WNBA, yeah.
That looks like Cruella DeVille without the white and black, without the marble. All right, we got Who the heck is Emma Chamberlain?
I don't know. I'm too 40-year-old. I'm just too much of a 40-year-old woman.
I mean, that's something I would expect people to wear. I don't know. What is that?
I actually really liked this outfit from Chappelle Roan. You can all hate it, but I thought the color was great. She's a fun celebrity.
She looks like she's in I don't know.
Her look has always kind of been drag queen style.
Yeah,
she looks like she's in Kiss. Actually,
yeah, she's very.
That says Whoopi Goldberg. Please do not scroll down.
Oh, it's so great.
Oh no,
This is the best one to look at. This one, yeah, yeah. She looks like the Monopoly Man a little bit.
That's the hat from Super Mario Odyssey. She gets to jump across bigger, gaps using that hat.
A+ for that jacket, though. Good job, Whoopi. Good job. All right, let's
Who
keep
the
going.
heck is Coleman Domingo?
I don't know, but he was channeling the Conclave, I think.
There were a lot of dresses at the event. I couldn't include them all in the story, but almost 100% of the men were wearing dresses.
Yes,
Janelle Monáe, is that it? Janelle Monáe. Nobody knows who these. Do people
Janelle Monáe is an actress. She's been around forever. She's great. Well, she's been in some interesting stuff. I'll say that. I shouldn't say
that's actually awesome.
I was saying this earlier. This is what I love about you, Robin. You're like the only conservative who's not a cultural Philistine. You actually know who these people are, which is great. I'm glad you're here.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I don't know.
I'll say this. I hadn't really looked at these because I actually tune this out whenever the Met Gala happens.
You mean as a white heterosexual male?
Ever since the AOC, was that the AOC Eat the Rich thing or whatever?
Tax the rich dressed, yeah.
Ever since all that and the politicization of it, I've completely that's my least favorite day of the year. Everybody's posting all these ridiculous things that are obviously supposed to make you mad or upset and create conversations and stuff. But this doesn't make me mad. Andre 3000 with the piano on his back.
I love it.
Back to our roots here.
Now, I don't know if you can find it, but after we published this article, I saw that the Democratic Party had posted a picture of Kamala Harris at the Met Gala.
You went.
And so apparently she was there, but I didn't see it on all the initial photos. Everybody was talking about Pamela Anderson and other things. And again, I just kind of tune it out. It's like, okay, here's some funny pictures. But then I saw, and Kamala Harris, she does look like Cruella de Vil. Somebody photoshopped in a little white streak in her hair with Dalmatians around her. And I swear
definitely all of these, what's up with all of them having kind of square shoulder situation going on? Was that the theme? Was that the theme?
Yeah, square shoulder. I like the piano. I think it's creative. I don't know. This guy
how are you a professional gay guy? What do you do to do that?
It's the Rick James look. It's the shoulder pads, the pimp hat. Yeah.
The canes. There was a lot of canes and top hats.
Hijabi amputee arrives.
They're all basically that horrible art style that's in Google and everything else now.
Yeah.
They're all
corporate
representative
Memphis.
of that.
Oh, that's the worst art style. If
Corporate
I see
Memphis,
that art style, it instantaneously I do not use that product.
If I get like a piece of mail, I've seen it on pieces of mail. I've gotten things where they've had that printed on there, and I'm like, okay, well, I definitely know not to go with your company now. Thank you.
That art style is meant to portray the exact same thing as that statue that's in Times Square. Mediocrity. It's blah.
The other part of the story that I didn't really include in the Not the Bee article, but I thought it was an interesting angle, is these looks that I showed are probably the craziest ones out of the hundreds that I looked at. It was probably the most kind of muted, conservative round of looks that I've seen, and it almost feels like the world is healing a little bit. Especially the white people. I thought it was funny. The white people, I think they were so scared of the theme, they were all just wearing suits from JCPenney, nothing crazy, just tuxedos.
A few years ago, the theme was camp, and that was my favorite year, bar none. The costumes were so outrageous. That might have been the year that Katy Perry wore a lampshade and she glowed. That stuff just thrills me. I love it. I love that in 2025, in our culture of cynicism, we still have celebrities spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on nonsense and parading around like there's somebody special. I love it. I'm here for it.
To point and laugh at.
I will say, I am really sad that LeBron James missed the event because he said he had a quote knee injury.
Oh yeah.
And I would have really looked forward to what King LaFlop was wearing. I think that would have been funny. I would have actually known who he was as opposed to most of those other people.
His knee injury
that's no joke, Joel. He got hit by a gust of wind. It's not.
Yeah.
It wasn't a knee injury. It was a public humiliation ceremony is what it was.
I wonder what he would have worn. What would LeBron have
We'll
worn?
never know.
A piano, a giant basketball hoop strapped to his back. I don't know. I'm out of
You
my
should have
depth
worn a
here.
Caitlin Clark jersey for the true goat. The true
All right.
goat.
So those are the big news stories. They're really, I mean, there's some really interesting stuff happening, but like I said, it's all kind of these little percolating stories that we should watch for the next couple of weeks.
I think that's in the did we talk last week about I don't think we did. I think it happened right after our episode last week, the Trump Photoshop. The Pope Photoshop. Yeah. Trump photoshopped himself as the Pope, right? Yeah. I think it happened right after our show last week. And it kind of just brought out this huge conversation about it's so crazy because the people who get most offended by that for some reason, well, just because it's Trump, are the liberals. It's not the Catholics, it's the liberals get so offended at how blasphemous him photoshopping himself as the Pope is.
Well, was
and meanwhile,
that put the picture of the Last Supper from the Olympics.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the Olympics in
in Paris,
2022.
Yeah, the Paris Olympics. Yeah,
the Paris Olympics.
Just ridiculous.
Like the most blasphemous thing in the world, and they're cheering and they're applauding it, and it's like all of a sudden they care about Christianity when Trump does something like that. But
did you see his reasoning for the picture? He said Melania thought it was cute. I just love that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is people ascribe all of this devious if you know Trump, he's just being a kid almost, it's just like he's messing around. He's gotten AI now fever and he's posting a bunch of AI stuff and it's kind of funny. And also, it's like posting himself as Jesus, people could definitely see that as blasphemous.
Yeah. Don't give him any ideas, Dan. Don't.
I mean, on the same day that he posted a picture of himself as a pope, the White House posted a picture of him as a Jedi. And, so, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, he loves these AI filters. He's like a kid in a candy store. He enjoys it. Yeah. He shares it. It's a little bit boomerish, but like, if you understand that it's a joke, but I did a whole article on this reporter that called him out. I think was it on Monday. And, it just continued asking him, how do you think Catholics felt? And he just laughed. He's like, look, the Catholics that I talk to, they think this is funny. Like, it's a joke. Learn to laugh, basically. And the reporters are just incapable of doing that. They cannot have a sense of humor about anything. They have to take everything to the max. Everything has to be serious and somber. And, you can't take a joke. It really is interesting to see that the left used to be the people that could laugh, and it was the conservatives that were uptight and holier than thou and all the rest of this. And it's totally flipped. And this is just another example of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Well, I have a little bit of experience with that as managing editor of the Bee. We, as you might have seen, we sometimes make fun of religions, and including Catholics. And so any given week we have one branch of Christianity mad at us. And I think it is funny how the people who like us typically assume that we're operating in good faith, and the people who don't like us assume that we're just trying to mock them and belittle them, and so it is kind of a Rorschach test when we put some of these jokes out.
But this is good. Smoke has risen from Buc-ee's, indicating fresh brisket is on the board.
That's just a throwaway joke. You can't get mad at that one. The one that got us really, really in trouble was the one when we played with the doctrine of the perpetual virginity of Mary.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That got us boycotted by some Catholics, I think. But
for a minute until they decided to come laugh again.
Usually you just got to lay low for a few weeks, and I'll tell my writers, okay, guys, like let's cool it on Catholic jokes for like 2 to 3 weeks, and then everyone will simmer down, and then we'll tell
ramp up the Mormon jokes.
Yeah, and what's funny is that a big criticism of the Babylon Bee oftentimes is that we don't criticize Jews enough, right? We don't criticize Jews, and we don't criticize Muslims enough. And if you do look at our posts, you can obviously find examples of us criticizing almost everybody. But the other thing that people miss when they criticize us in that way is the fact that the reason that we make fun of Christians and we feel comfortable making fun of Christians is because we are Christians, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a lot less sinister to make fun of yourself and to make fun of people that like share the beliefs that you have and are in your group of community or in your community and than it is to go out and just being nasty and make fun of other people, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not even so much about targeting a specific group and focusing on, well, we bash the Catholics enough, now it's time for us to bash the Jews, or now it's time for us to bash this person or that. We make fun of Christians because we are Christians, and that's what we know. And that's
and
we have more material to work with.
Yeah, the best comics do that. I mean, Chappelle, with all of his jokes about Black culture, I mean, it's the same exact thing. It's more effective when he's making fun of Black culture because he knows Black culture, right?
Right. And making fun of like Christianity today is an effort to maybe get them to rethink a little bit of what they're doing.
Well,
and it's the same thing with, it's supposed to be able to kind of poke a little fun, but also like, hey guys, you're make funnable right now. The things you are doing are mockable. So let's.
But wait, I'm confused because when you're making fun of Christians, I've been told the Babylon Bee is controlled by the Jewish cabal. So
I'd love some of that
I'm
money.
here to confirm right now.
They're just
the other
pretending.
thing, when I hear all the time that we don't make fun of Jews, I think, well, I don't know if you're looking at it right. I mean, we have about 5,000 jokes about Bernie Sanders, 10,000 jokes about George Soros. We do make fun of people who happen to be Jews. It's just that their Jewishness rarely factors into why we're making fun of them. It's usually because they're Marxists or socialists or whatever. But we probably should get some Jewish writers so that we can, we can have more Jew joke material.
The only other story from this week, and honestly, it's one that I have avoided even looking at or talking about, but it just keeps popping up. I've had a lot of conversations with friends and family that keep wanting to talk about it. And it's the story of it's like we want to conflate these two GoFundMes. There was the guy who stabbed the white kid, Carmelo Anthony, and he got this fundraiser. Then there's this chick in Wisconsin, and she called a black kid the N-word, and she gets this fundraiser. It's like, and it's really exploded online. It's kind of, and I've mentioned this to friends when we talk about it. It's the most online discussion I think you can possibly have because nobody outside of Twitter cares or knows about any of this stuff. But my take on it all, and I think everybody knows what I'm talking about with the context of these, is before the internet, these things would have happened in a vacuum and they wouldn't have made such a giant cultural impact. And now we have to talk about everything. And I'm curious, I mean, we could talk for another 45 minutes about everybody's take on this, but Joel, I know you've talked a lot online about these two different stories this week, and I think you've had some really good takes, and I think our listeners have probably seen their fair share of mudslinging back and forth. My take very quickly is I think both people are garbage people, and neither one should be amplified, but we're in a free market economy, and people are going to do what they're going to do. So that's
I saw, Matt Walsh had a decent take on it that I think also got a lot of people riled up in the sense that he saw it as a victory against cancel culture, which, all the people who tried to destroy this woman's life, we're trying to disincentive cancel culture. I think that he has a point there. It does just generally make me sad. It does seem to be that there's kind of just this cultural death spiral that we're on when it comes to race relations in this country, and things being amplified on social media. You have Austin Metcalf, you have this girl at the playground. What's it going to be next week? You kind of just have this endless ratchet that is fanning the flames of this, and so at times like these, I think it's more important than ever to remember what it means to be a Christian, to stay in God's word, to remember how God told us to, what posture God told us to have towards our enemies and people who, are cruel and evil, and just not let yourself get caught up in the hatred, resentment, the fear that is really being ginned up by very cynical people online. And just pray for these people, pray for victims, pray for, the wicked people that do these horrible things, and just don't let yourself get caught up in the outrage.
I think you're absolutely right. I think it feels almost episodic at this point. Like every week now we're going to have a new dust up online that we all have to form an immediate opinion on and take an immediate side. And if you just turn off your phone, it kind of goes like you don't have to engage with all of this. And I've heard a lot of good points on different sides, but
I should probably do that. I should probably turn off my phone.
I'm giving this advice, but I don't do it. But I do think we don't need to amplify every single bad actor out there. But again, as someone who appreciates a hustle, way to go, monetizing your deplorableness. I don't know, like, who am I to say whatever? It's just it's a bizarro world a little bit.
We were playing around with this joke, like where Dave Ramsey adds an eighth financial baby step. That's just like say the N-word to get out of debt.
Oh, no.
We didn't publish it.
That's
we were playing with it.
Yeah. Not quite
as
bad as the Chick-fil-A article, Joel, but it's on its way.
Oh, do we want to talk about that? We can talk about that.
Well, for those who don't, sorry, Joel, but for those who don't know, Joel Berry has gotten the Babylon Bee into a little bit of a hot seat before with his criticism, not even a criticism, just a joke about good old Chick-fil-A. What was that about, Joel?
So this was back in the context. People missing the context is probably what caused people to miss the joke. This was back during the crazy race riots, George Floyd, and all the unrest. And
mostly peaceful
Kathy,
protest.
the president of Chick-fil-A, he did this really cringe thing where he had a rapper on stage with him, and he shined the rapper's shoes to show how white people need to like give power.
I remember that. Yeah.
Like, really just awful, cringy moment. And so we were making fun of that, kind of this idea that when you try too hard to be anti-racist, you end up doing like racist like things. And so we had this headline that was, Chick-fil-A now open on Sundays, but only for black people. And people who didn't get, and we also published it on Juneteenth, which I didn't know what Juneteenth was at the time. We published it on Juneteenth, and
this was before my time.
And people who didn't know the context thought it was just a fried chicken joke, like black people and fried chicken.
Man.
We published it on Juneteenth, and the outrage was so funny. People who had never heard of Juneteenth before, like Juneteenth was new, and the audacity to publish this on of all days, Juneteenth,
on the holy day,
day of Juneteenth, and it almost, it outraged the left, the right, Christian evangelicals were so mad. I thought I was going to lose my job. It was like
Joel has a history of getting us in trouble and being accused of being racist, but now this week he's been getting us in trouble, getting us accused of not being racist enough.
Mm-hmm. Woke right.
The woke right wants so badly. If you want to call it the woke right, I'm not going to get into that discussion.
What should we call it?
I don't know what we should call it, but the outrage machine that operates on the right side of the political spectrum really desperately wants everybody this week to be super racist. That's something that we have to deal with now. It's so funny. Our attacks used to come mostly from people that were diametrically opposed to us politically, and now it's like we almost get more vicious attacks from people that are on the same side but disagree with us on one little wording or one little thing or one little phrase that we may or may not be willing to say in the way that they want us to say it. And it's really a minefield out there on Twitter these days.
One of the things when you look at the political spectrum, I'm convinced more than ever that our terms left and right, they don't really like that historical. It goes back a couple hundred years. Kind of comes out of, if you study French politics, you study English, you get this understanding of left and right. And I think that we have this horizontal view, but I think what's happening is there's vertical movement. People are moving closer, or in many cases away from God. And when you have people that have a belief in a transcendent power, when they believe in God, there's a lot of things there's a moral framework there where you share things, and there might be a left and a right. You go back 100 years ago and the idea of left and right, sure, there were differences. People disagreed. Even people that are specifically following Jesus Christ, they disagreed, but there was this shared framework and they could have conversations. And now it's just chaos. And I think it's almost like, I almost think about it like an inverted triangle, where up here, when you're following God, there's a left and a right side. You could say there's different sides where people can disagree within that framework. But as people move away from God, it's like they kind of come to the point of self, like just, depravity, self, whatever, down at the bottom. And then what's on the left and the right begins to mirror each other. And so we are kind of in this, it's like because there are a lot of people, I'm seeing a lot of people, it's like they woke up to everything that the left was doing. And now they're just becoming racist, divisive. And it is really crazy to see. And we don't really have a term for it. And it's sad. And but I think what the Babylon Bee is doing, and not the bee, what we are doing is we're trying to navigate that. With that, we are pointed toward the transcendent. We're keeping God in focus.
Can we make that our motto? Pointed towards the transcendent.
we're keeping God in focus, and it's like all this chaos that I think we're an anchor. A lot of people that read our stuff, we are an anchor in the midst of a storm that's happening. And that's very valuable. And I look at that and I go, a lot of the stuff I read a Babylon Bee joke and I go, that's grounded. That's, as the kids say, based. And but you have a lot of people that are out there. You even have people that are using the name of Jesus for really racist, weird stuff right now. And it's hard to navigate that. And so it's just chaos. What do you make of it? But stories like this, there'll be another one probably next week, 2 weeks from now.
10 minutes. Then no one will remember this. That's the thing. No one will even, there's been,
it'll be
last week. We can't even remember what the race or
you don't even know.
You don't even know. Something I've been working on a lot lately, and I would encourage people to go do this. It's been a phenomenal exercise for me, is I have opened up a Google Doc on my computer and I'm putting topics, hot topics of the day, abortion, women's rights, you name it, all of the big ones. And I am going through personally, it's not a document I think I would share with many people, but writing out exactly what I believe on each topic, kind of my personal mission statement or whatever you might want to call it, because I think a lot of times we argue sometimes from positions that might not stronger positions than we might have on things, but humans are so much more connected than we are divided. What a lot of people don't realize is that the majority vote in the Supreme Court is 9-0. That is the majority vote. But we only see the big inflammatory, 4 or 5 votes or whatever. But we are honestly way more united on things than we are divided. But it's very Marxist. Divide people, get them in camps and make them as tribal as possible. And then you can control them. It's a controlling device. So that's something I've been working on. And also defining terms. If you're going to use the word woke, know what it means, know how to define it. If you're going to use the word socialism, know what it is, or fascism, or any of these terms. Know your opinions if you're going to have them be researched. With that said,
you're a fascist even for suggesting that.
Let's lighten it up a little bit. Let's look at some headlines.
I'm switching gears. Yeah, that's what I'm switching gears here. We're lightening it up. Lighten it up here on the Bee. So if you don't know, if you are a lay person and listening, we have a forum for subscribers. You have to subscribe to the Babylon Bee, and subscribers can pitch headlines. It's phenomenal. It's how I got hired at the Bee. Is I joined the forum, I pitched headlines. They popped up on the radar, and I'm now a writer at the Bee, and it happens a lot. So we are going to read some of the best headlines from the week. This is over in the trending section of the Babylon Bees, and there's some really great. Now I am reading these cold, so we are reacting.
And these are subscriber submitted headlines, right? These are not
submitted headlines. I'll read the name of the account and the headline, but there's some real gems.
Do you want me to give my professional editor feedback on them?
Thumbs up, thumbs down, Joel. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. So first, and we all know Conservative Prop, he's been on the show. He is an echelon over at the forum. This is great. This one really made me chuckle. Democrats support real ID for travel and fake ID for voting.
Nice.
Thought that was great. From Kurgol, Conclave pranks world with gray smoke. That would be great. The next
because it's usually white and black, right? Okay.
Yeah, white and black. At Neo Hillbilly, I like that. Black smoke rises from Babylon Bee chimney, indicating this headline has not been selected for publication.
True.
That one's almost a little passive aggressive there.
It is. Yeah, Joel, I think
there's a lot of passive aggressive writers in the forum. They get creatives. Creatives are a sensitive bunch. I know because I am one.
No, what are you talking about? I have a lot of self-confidence. All right, from I can't read Miatsu. I like that. Cardinal from Michigan becomes next pope after 138,000 votes drop at midnight.
There's been a meme circulating with Joe Biden in a pope hat this morning with the whole, Joe Biden selected as next pope after 3 a.m. ballot drop.
That's kind of like that one's a little stereotypical at this point, I would feel like.
Yeah, that's a little
overused.
I mean, the Babylon Bee kind of told that joke 3-4 years ago, and it's been memed to death at this point. So it's not a bad joke, it's just overdone. That's why we wouldn't publish that one.
All right, from at Don't Slow the Earth, man kicks off new workout routine with virtual 5K. I'm trying to figure this one out. Like he watched a 5K online. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See, this is an example of one that like, it kind of has a joke structure, but it doesn't really make sense. And you end up instead of laughing, you end up thinking, what is a virtual 5K? Like, how does that work?
It might have worked a little bit better
broken.
like in 2020 when everyone was really focused on the virtual, but yeah.
You could have watched a YouTuber run a 5K or something like that.
Yeah, something like
problem, one of the hardest things with Babylon Bee jokes is that, unlike, SNL with Weekend Update has the ability to set the joke up by giving the real headline before the fake clip.
Yeah.
The Babylon Bee has to rely on people pretty much already knowing the premise and knowing what's going on.
The context, yeah.
And so it's sometimes a good joke will not get published just because we think we don't think enough people are going to know about this.
I like this one over on the right by the big freeze. Trump prevents galactic war as tariffs cripple Trade Federation's droid army production. Now, the reason that one works is because it's just as confusing as the actual prequel.
Who's the writer on that one, Dan? I don't have it up on my phone.
One last shot at Star Wars from our previous.
Freeze. Yeah,
that was Big Freeze. Oh, that's fantastic. All right,
I understand it. Is what's funny is we talked about the prequels last week, and I talked about how they were bad movies but great entertainment, and it's true. And what's funny is that my kids really like the Weird Al version of American Pie. Anakin, what's
Anakin guy?
Just a small fry.
Anakin guy, yeah.
Maybe Vader someday later. Now he's just a small fry. I don't know the storyline of Phantom Menace except from listening to that song.
I think kids come out of the womb knowing every lyric to that Weird Al song.
I had no idea. I mean, when I watch Phantom Menace, I have no idea why Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi are on some ship at the beginning of it and what they're doing or where they are or who these people that look like frogs are.
They're trying to negotiate with the Trade Federation that's blockaded Naboo.
It's fantastic.
Of course they are. Of course
they are like UN ambassadors on neutral ground, as it were.
So say what you will about the prequels, they are a gold mine for memes. I mean, my little brothers and I communicate exclusively in prequel memes. You should see our chat on our phones. It's just all prequel memes.
But if you do want to know the storyline of Phantom Menace after you watch it 6 times and have no idea what's going on, you just listen to the Weird Al song and you'll know.
There you go. All right, here's a few more. Let's go down. We'll go. 2 + 2 is chicken. He's a rock star over there. Pakistan unveils new air-to magic carpet missiles to destroy Indians' Air Force. That's pretty funny.
That's not bad, actually.
Yeah, he's got a good visual there.
You can craft that.
There.
You can craft that funny.
I think it would work better if you were joking that their Air Force was like a picture of a guy in a rug store and they're getting ready to launch an attack.
That's another Air Force. That's another factor with these jokes. And if you're a forum pitcher, sometimes a kind of a ho-hum joke can be taken over the edge by a good visual. If you can conceive of a really funny visual, or you have this, sometimes a joke starts with the visual first. Just the image of the Indian Air Force all flying in on magic carpets is really funny. And you start with that visual, and it's like, okay, I just need a headline for this. So how can I phrase it in the most succinct way?
I want to take it from these featured ones are all pretty good. They've got threads of, there's something going on there. Usually, sometimes they're inside jokes more from the forum than anything else, and that's why they get so many upvotes. I'm gonna do something right now because we're sharing the screen. This is gonna be risky. I'm gonna push the "I'm feeling lucky" button, and then we just get whatever it is. It's a random headline. I believe it's from the last 3 days. I think it's like some random headline. So let's do it. Let's do it 3 times and see what we get from that. All right. Let's see.
Risky click of the day.
The riskiest click of the day. I'm feeling lucky. Let's push it. All right. Planned Parenthood. You guys can see this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Planned Parenthood dismisses complaints about unsanitary conditions, sewage leaks, and passing STDs to patients, saying, "You pay us for dead people."
I understand what it's going at, but it's a morbid joke that took way too long to get there. For one,
there you go. That's it. Yeah, that's too much crammed in there.
Moving on. I'm feeling lucky. More curated paintings from the Bee Art Museum and comments. Okay, so this is kind of an internal joke thing, I think. All right, let's do another one. Christmas decorations ready to be taken down now.
It's May. That's good. Who's the submitter on that? Who's the user on that one?
Babylon Josh.
Babylon Josh.
Now, and when we do it this way, you see some of these people who aren't necessarily some of the more quote unquote power users on the forum who get a lot of upvotes consistently and then get on the trending lists and all that other stuff. So it's kind of funny to just say I'm feeling lucky sometimes and get them. That one right there, the Christmas decorations ready to be taken down now. That's definitely something that's along the lines of you craft it the right way, you put the right image with it, you release it at the right time, and you can make a joke out of that for sure.
Right. It's good.
The Batman baby.
There's something there. I think it's time now to go to our illustrious Mr. B for questioning. Mr. B, are you ready?
I am ready. Are you ready, Robin?
I'm ready. I'm born ready.
Besides Snow White, name a movie or album that you would completely erase from existence if you could.
The Sixth Sense.
Why?
I hated that movie. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie, but it traumatized me as a child. Well, I was 16 when I saw it. I went the day after I turned 16. I went on a date because you're not allowed to date in Mormondom until you're 16. So I went the day after I turned 16. A guy took me, and I slept on the floor of my parents' room for like 3 weeks.
So you waited one whole day.
I waited one whole. No, I actually went out on a date on my 16th birthday with a different guy. But then the next day I went with this guy, and
amazing.
And it's a good movie. My 15-year-old's seen it. It's not. It just how some things affect you differently. And I love horror movies, and I've seen a million scarier movies. But for some reason, The Sixth Sense did a real psychological number on me when I saw it, and I have not really seen it since. So gone. Oh, no. Sixth Sense. I'm gonna Eternal Sunshine that one from my brain.
Okay. Do either of the Joels have one that they would erase from existence?
It's two. I already know Dan would eliminate the Phantom Menace since he disappeared. I can answer for him. I think there's too many to choose from. I can't just pick one. If I picked one, I don't know how it would alter the time-space continuum. It might lead to worse ones. If I could eliminate like 100 of them, then maybe it might start to make a dent. But I don't have a particular one.
All right, Joel B, what do you got?
Yeah, I've been asked similar questions, and I don't have anything because when I watch a bad movie, it's gone. Yeah. I completely forget about it. Yeah, I don't have enough space in my brain for it. Obviously the obvious answer as a Star Wars nerd and fan would be The Last Jedi.
Okay, I would agree with that. Yes.
I mean that was a terrible act of vandalism.
Rise of Skywalker though is even worse than Last Jedi.
I don't know.
No, it is. It 100% is. I mean, Last Jedi purposefully was trying to destroy the whole Star Wars story, but Rise of Skywalker did that and then also had no redeeming visuals or anything.
I will say that maybe the Rise of Skywalker could have been better if they would have let Rian Johnson finish telling his story instead of retconning it in the third one. Like
and having J.J.
committed to his vision,
but his vision seemed pretty obvious where it was going, and it was really set on destroying the Star Wars myth.
Yeah, it was subversive.
I think they probably just should have. I think they probably just should have actually at any point sat down and said, "Hey, we're making a trilogy. Let's actually connect these things. Let's have a cohesive story."
I honestly believe that they in those scenes in Last Jedi, for instance, when Rey is like looking into the deep abyss or whatever, and it's like, "Oh, you went straight to the dark side." Like they didn't even know. They didn't know what they were doing with that. They had no idea. No idea. It was just visual stuff happening on screen.
That's
the J.J. Abrams style, the mystery box style of storytelling.
Yeah, you'll never actually figure out anything.
But if you deleted 8, then 9 might have. So if you deleted it and had somebody else do it, 9 might have been better. So I would still delete 8. It might have led to 9 being a better, more cohesive. Might have finished the plot line as opposed to just saying Sith magic, Emperor Palpatine's back.
This goes back to one of the ironclad rules.
I think there's a path from 8 to a good resolution. But 9 is the resolution, and it's horrible.
Yeah, I take my answer back. I think we just take out episode 4, and then there's no Star Wars ever, and then we don't have to have this conversation, which would be horrible. It hurts me.
No.
It hurts me. It guts me, but I feel like it's in such a bad place.
No, we have to see beauty in order to feel pain, or we have to feel pain in order to see beauty. That's you've got to
take a time machine. Take out George Lucas.
Babylon B people in a room together, the conversation will ultimately and inevitably end talking about Star Wars.
Star Wars
Lord
and
of the
Lord of the
Rings.
Rings. Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, yeah.
Or Christopher Nolan, which I'm gonna add another to my list, and that's Oppenheimer. I think Oppenheimer should be totally remade. It was
I think
the
that
worst
was a bad.
movie.
Has
That was
never
really
made a
bad
good movie.
Bad movie.
That's my hot
That's
take.
not true.
Yeah,
Never,
let's see.
Never made a
never
good
made.
movie.
All his movies are bad.
Yeah,
That's
I'm gonna
not
have to
true.
probably say yeah on that one. I'm trying to think. I didn't hate The Dark Knight as much as some people around here did, but
Who hates The Dark Knight?
Kyle, man.
The Dark Knight is redeemable. I think
The Dark
Inception
Knight's
is
a great
probably.
movie. Interstellar's a great movie.
Interstellar's good. I
they're
like
not
Interstellar.
perfect. They're not perfect movies.
I liked
but they're great
Dunkirk.
movies.
I will say I liked Dunkirk,
I
but
didn't
yeah,
see Dunkirk.
I've never really. They're okay. Like
kind of
Interstellar, I thought was
forgettable.
okay. I was never a huge
You
fan
guys
of
are
it. but
nuts. You guys
We're
are
crazy.
You guys are nuts.
But Oppenheimer was wholesale bad. It was bad, and it made me angry, and I was very upset by that movie. I just.
What about
it had-
Tenet? Tenet was even worse. Tenet wasn't even a
I
movie.
didn't
It was
see
just
Tenet.
a puzzle box. It was just a
I
clever little
refused.
puzzle box.
I
Now,
did not.
I will definitely agree on Oppenheimer. That was one of the most boring, horrible movies I've
Well,
ever
why
seen.
shoot it in 15 different timelines, Christopher Nolan? Why? What did that serve as a plot device? Why? And why was the crux of the movie him getting security clearance? Why wasn't the atomic bomb going off?
Actually, the filming of Oppenheimer, the way that he chose to do that from an editing perspective, actually makes more sense to have told Interstellar that way. The disjointed nature of time and all that other stuff. It would have communicated something. It would have communicated something artistic, right? But in Oppenheimer, it just doesn't make any sense.
No. All right, B.
Look at what Mr. B unleashed.
I know. Bring us into another question, or it's gonna be a minute.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, talking about Batman. Who here has a good Batman impersonation? Go.
I don't. I have a good Robin impersonation.
Dan, go.
Tell me where she is. Where is she? Where am I? Where are they? You just have to get that really low register.
Dan, your mic distorted too. It was awesome. So good.
Is this the Christian Bale Batman, or what about Adam West?
Do you think Bruce Wayne goes through a lot of throat lozenges?
Adam West.
Adam West.
We watched Batman, the
utility belt.
Penguin one recently. Batman Returns. That's probably my favorite Batman with Danny DeVito and Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer. I think I'm gonna say final answer, best Batman that's come out ever.
The Tim Burton.
What did you say?
ones are good.
Catwoman with Halle Berry? That was your favorite?
Was the Tim Burton one? Was that Batman Forever?
No, well, he may have done others, but he did. He did
two of
do.
them, I think, at least.
He
two
did
of them.
Batman Returns with Penguin. We watched it with my kids, and
No,
I'm
he
like,
didn't do
"Oh,
Batman
this is
Forever.
dark."
That was the one with Jim Carrey as the Riddler, right?
And Arnold Schwarzenegger as
Anyway,
Iceman or something stupid.
whatever.
All right, Joel B.
Mr. Freeze.
In an effort to improve your racial jokes statistics, tell us a joke that incorporates Jews and bagels.
I can't tell a joke on cue.
I can't either.
They're
I
dropped
will
on
say,
me from the
while
creative
he's
ether
thinking,
that floats
I
above
will
my
say
head.
that the Babylon Bee had a couple really funny Jewish tunnel jokes. That was pretty hilarious when that whole thing
You
happened.
could
There was one
not-
about the Jews accidentally tunneling too far and ending up in Canada.
Balrog, yeah.
We could,
That's funny.
that was one thing where it was so, the story was so comical. It would have felt very conspicuous to not joke about it. I mean, it was
Right.
so funny. And there was a joke that's still on the cutting room floor that like the memers beat us to. I had a Photoshop of all the Ninja Turtles dressed in like the Orthodox Jewish braids and the hats and stuff. And I forget what the joke was, but it was something about the Ninja Turtles being Jewish and tunneling.
Well, couldn't you have made a joke about the bagels and tunneling and you get the hole in the center? I mean, you missed an opportunity right there.
Maybe we did.
Maybe there's something there.
There's something there. They're drawn to their tunnels.
That's Frank Fleming, one of our writers. He talks about the creative process as being like two little guys that go up into the attic of your brain and they just bring down two like completely unrelated things and show them to you and say, is this something? Is this something? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's something and sometimes it's not.
I call it going into the mines. Every day when I go to start pitching headlines, I'm like, I got to go down to the mines and bring up content. And sometimes you strike gold, but most of the time I'm just bringing up rocks. I'm like, hey, Here you go. It just feels
and it's
like
hard because sometimes you think you have gold and no one else thinks it's funny.
Oh,
That's
the worst.
That's when it's hard.
I had a headline that I thought of last night at we were watching Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which is a phenomenal movie. But it's who's the Monty Python guy that does it, and I'm not going to even think of his name right now. Not Terry Gilliam, but the other guy. Anyway, I was thinking about Monty Python, and so I was so proud of this headline, and I don't think anybody liked it, which is fine, Joel. You can pass by, but it was like so-called Monty Python fan can only name John Cleese or something like that because he's the only guy anybody knows. But I was so excited.
Yeah, that's true.
I woke up this morning and pitched it and sat there and looked and oh, no one else thinks I'm funny. And that's 95% of the time. That's the creative process. You just have to.
Yeah. You have to have thick skin. You have to have thick skin. You have to be willing to kill your darlings. The SNL writers talk about that too, where they would work. Sometimes they would work all week on a sketch and it would get cut the night of, it was in the lineup. They'd called their parents, "Hey, I'm going to be on tonight," and then the sketch would get cut. Yeah.
So
you just got to move on and keep pitching.
I hate to break this up, but as of 1 minute ago, the Vatican just posted a picture of white smoke. Robin, you were on scene, so I'm wondering, do you know who the new pope is? We haven't gotten a name yet.
Trump.
I'm on. Yeah. Let me look. I'm updating Twitter.
It just happened. Apparently,
we won't know until they
Daily
come out
Wire
the window,
says
right?
white smoke above the Sistine Chapel. A pope has been chosen.
Here it is. I found it. It's Joe Biden.
Yeah, I just saw this too.
138,000 votes overnight.
Oh man, no, but the Daily Wire that was literally 2 minutes ago. So I doubt that was a quick conclave. Didn't they start on Monday?
It was fast. This was
usually goes on for almost
2-3 days,
right? Like a week or so.
Okay, everyone, let's guess the continent.
Italy.
Of the Pope.
You're pretty. Got good odds.
Who was it? There was one guy from Asia, who was the more progressive. He's basically everybody was calling him Asian Francis, but I'm blanking on his name. This is where we need a Catholic.
This is where you make an inappropriate racist Asian joke.
Yeah, there was Cardinal Tagelli from the Philippines, but he was relatively progressive. My guess is it's going to be someone from Italy. It's going to be a man, and he's going to wear a pointy hat. I know. I'm updating Twitter right here, but no one's. They've just.
Well, I guess we're not going to know probably until he comes out, right? He waves to the crowd or whatever. It's like his big reveal, and then everybody knows what it is. So I think we can probably wrap it up for this week. We'll publish the story on Not the Bee. You'll find it there first.
Yeah, go over to Not the Bee and just click refresh because as of right this moment, we don't know.
You're hearing this,
but do you guys think it's going to be a progressive like Francis, or do you think it's going to be a more conservative?
I think it's going to be a more conservative guy. I think they're going to move, but that's whatever. I'm not
Trump.
sure.
It's going to be a Trump
about it next week.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining in today. It was a fantastic show. Thanks to our sponsors, Grassi. Go over and check out their deal. Joel, Barry, thanks for joining, and everybody else, thanks for coming on. And we'll see you all next week.